I think you all know this family, the Tudors. But today we are going to focus more specifically on Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn's daughter, Elizabeth I. To begin with, what being a woman meant at the 16th century. At this time, women were considered as objects. They were supposed to be submissive and obedient to their husband. They were ruled by a patriarchal society. They couldn't have any property, were over-controlled, and had no power. In short, it can be said that women were like possessions. This is quite overwhelming, isn't it? Let's talk a bit more about Elizabeth now. She has always had a special connection with the notion of power. As I said previously, she was the daughter of the King of Britain, and therefore was respected and envied for this place. She was near the higher place of power in the British kingdom, and therefore we could think that she was legitimate to have access to the throne. But, spoiler alert, no. In The Lady of Elizabeth, Alison Weir depicts a scene where young Elizabeth tells to her father she wants to become a king. This latter gets angry and shouts at her she can't become a king because she's a woman. This scene illustrates not only Elizabeth's desire of power, but also what prevents her from having access to it. To sum up, since her childhood, Elizabeth was rebellious and didn't want to be submissive to somebody's will. Moreover, at the age of 8, she decided she won't marry anyone. This idea of not wanting to get married was revolting for others and was not in keeping with the expectations one had of a woman in the 16th century, and even less so of the king's daughter. It is going against their duty as women, that is to say, getting married as fast as possible and ensure an heir. This "I don't want to be married" topic is a 21st century controversial topic too, which shows how advanced her state of mind was compared to her time. One might have thought that this state of mind was due to her youth and her desire to be rebellious, as any child would. However, at 25 she ascended to the throne after Mary I's death. This is where she began to develop her powerfulness as a woman in a patriarchal society. She was queen of an entire population, which was completely unthinkable, knowing that on top of that she was in favor of Protestantism, something that Mary I had suppressed during her reign. Elizabeth had power as a current woman would, and here started a long reign of 45 years. Something even more astonishing for a 16th century woman is that she took part in the wars she led. For instance, at the Battle of Tilbury, she made the famous speech to the troops where she announced that she would take part in the battle as a strategist and a warrior. In the 16th century, a woman couldn't be a warrior. She was considered as too weak for those fights. This same speech also illustrates the hatred and preconceived ideas that could be directed against the Queen and women in general, especially when she said, "I know I have the body of a weak, feeble woman." Being near from her population, supporting them, solving religion, social, and economic issues during her long reign has enabled her to gain the faith of the people, and therefore to be an example to them. Her reign has strongly advanced the image of women in England, but also in European societies. The image of a woman breaking standards. She decided when she was 8 years old she would never get married to anyone and never have any child, and she did it. This was totally provocative and shows how important were this queen status for her. By getting married to someone else, she would have lost her power, and same thing if she had had children. That is why she kept power and died with it. At the end of her reign, she made her last powerful speech, named the Golden Speech, where she recalled everything she did during her reign as a queen. She was a memorable queen, idealized as well as hated, but she managed to leave her landmark in history as a modern woman and not as someone's wife.